Get on your back. So, again, last week we went over guard breaks. Let's assume we got the guard broken. I'm just going to do the standard issue break. And we're going to go into our double under passes this week. So again, nothing fancy. Boom, all right, step back. I got the guard broken. And just because I don't want him to re-guard again, I like to leave my, I like to step my lead knee up. I'm going to go into the double under pass right now. From here, I never want you to have one arm in and one arm out. You're just asking to get arm barred and triangle. So when you go double under, you initiate both arms at the same time. If you ever feel like one arm is going to get stuck, abandon the pass, okay? So from here, after I've got his guard open, both of my arms are going to swim inside. At the same time, I get my head high, my chest forward, and I use my legs to start drawing my opponent forward here, okay? Again, one more time. I don't want to be head low because then you could get to my collar and start doing weird chokes, right? So again, I don't want to be here, okay? I've been caught in funky chokes from here before. As I get double under here, right? I keep my chest high, my head high, and I get my opponent's hips off the ground. We have the belt, so why not use it, right? I would keep this grip here if I'm no-gi. Right now, I'm going to go under my opponent's hips and grab his belt. From here, watch what happens. As I sit back, I pull my opponent onto my lap here. Because from here, he's not quite on the ground, he's not quite in the air, there's not much he can do, okay? So from here, now my job is to fold him in half. So again, keeping my chest high, keeping my head high, I'm going to start to fold my opponent over as one hand, in this case my left hand, reaches across and grabs the collar here. Okay? From here, look at where my hip is, or where my lap is. I still have his hips off the ground. Okay? I don't want his hips to be on the ground here. Right? Want his hips in the air here. From here, I get off my feet, or I get onto my feet, and I start collapsing my left shoulder to my left wrist here. Turning and walking. Turning and walking. And look, my right hand is still on his belt, keeping his hips in the air until his legs slide by as slow as possible. Okay? Sorry, it's so uncomfortable. It should be uncomfortable. Like I said, I always make the joke, if I'm in a 5-minute jiu-jitsu match in competition and I get in position for this pass, I'm spending 4 minutes and 59 seconds here just crushing my opponent. Again, that's an exaggeration, but they should almost be thanking you for passing, okay? Let's do it again. I promise I won't go that slow. So again, however you got the guard open, cool. I'm gonna dive my hands under, head high, chest high, as I try and get my opponent's hips off the mat. On Wednesday, we're gonna deal with 2 common defenses that your opponent has. Let's not worry about that for now. Let's get through the pass for now. I dive double under, head high, chest high, use my feet to get my opponent's hips off the mat, find his belt, and as I sit back, I drag him back onto my my lap here. Also, I want his legs as high on my shoulders as possible, okay? Good, put your legs back where they were. This isn't bad, this is better. Okay? I'm not saying let go of the belt to get him here, but your goal is here, okay? Again, I get my hips off the ground, I fold my opponent in half as I reach for the far collar. They're gonna be nice right now, I'm on my toes right now, but when I go to initiate the pass, again, this hand should be deeper and I should be choking my opponent and leave it nice and loose right now to save earnest. Here, boom, my right hand goes right behind his tailbone and keeps his hips lifted off the mat. From here, my left hand is grabbing the collar, so I walk left and I start slowly turning my chest to the sky. Walk left turn, and look, his hips are not hitting the ground until I decide they hit the ground after the legs pass over. Go. All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3.
All right, everyone, welcome back. Got Nas on top here, Gabe on the bottom here. They are running guard, pass, and a break and pass drills, basically. So I believe right now they're just drilling. Gabe isn't going to give too much resistance, so Nas starts it off. Goes to the big man break. Gets the knee in the middle, double under. Okay, he straightened out his leg there, you saw that. Try and keep that knee parallel to the floor. Drives forward. Okay, let's rewind a little bit here. When your feet are off the ground, they should be far away from your opponent here. I see his other foot's back here. This foot should be out here. That way you could sprawl your weight onto your opponent, right? I call the position selling ass because it looks like you're trying to show your ass. So please don't sell ass while you're in this position. Sprawl on your opponent. Yeah, right now he's selling ass. He's trying to pull him onto a lap that doesn't exist. Now he could probably pull him onto his lap. There we go. From this high lap position, I really like this position using the double under because it gives you a couple, I don't want to say time, but it really does. It's a very helpless feeling if you're the person on bottom, because your hips aren't quite off the floor, so you can't bridge with your feet on the ground, and they're not quite folded over either, so you can't invert and you can't turtle. So from here you can start fighting for grips. Person on bottom could also fight for grips, but not much to do offensively for the person on bottom. Yep, goes to the cross collar, sprawls. Knee hit the ground a little too soon, but overall not too bad. Obviously some things to work on. Looks like we got Ernest here and Dave here, I believe. I forget who was wearing what gi. Here Ernest is the one running the drill. Decent. It looks like he's going for a big man break with the right foot. Good. Forgets to control the legs. Oh, here he was complaining that the guy's knees are too tight. Well, your hand should be on the inside of their knees before you're even done completing the pass, ideally. Drives forward. Again, from here, he's almost in that selling ass position. Not quite. This foot should be a little bit back here. That way all his pressure is going down into his opponent. And I'd like to see his right hand off the ground. Yeah, again, if you're going to pull your opponent, let's rewind that just a second. Here, he pulls him into his lap. But look, he's so upright here, right, that there's really no lap to pull him onto. When you pull your opponent onto your lap, sit back. Get a nice, as much of a horizontal surface as you can. Also, noticing one more mistake here. See if I can see it. Look at Ernest's right hand. It's on the floor. If your hand is on the floor, your weight is not 100% on your opponent. That hand should be gripping the belt, or if it's no-gi, holding the hip. Pressure looks good from here. He could be sprawled out a little bit more. Turns the corner and gets the pass. Got Gabe on top trying to pass the guard here, and Nas on the bottom. Believe they're still just drilling. Yeah, when the knee goes in the middle, when you do big man break, obviously there's a chance that you might lose your balance. And again, same thing I'm seeing here. All my students are pulling up to the sky to try and get them onto your lap when they should be pulling back. So please pull back. Gets good chest pressure. Yeah, I'd like to see him pull back a little bit more for the lap position. Here. That was a good pass. Alright, we got Dave on top here and Ernest here. I'm glad I circled right on his ass, because this is what I would consider, like, if this foot was a little bit closer, I would consider the selling ass position. Again, don't. Our goal is not to get our feet close. Our goal is to create as much pressure downwards with our chest as possible. That happens by sprawling our legs out and concentrating our weight on our upper body. Let's see how this plays out. Yeah, right now there's not maximum pressure. There we go. That's a little bit more pressure on Ernest. Now he should start walking and get 90 degrees to his opponent. End was a little bit rushed, but overall not bad. Again, I'm trying to pass as slowly as possible, trying to smear my weight across my opponent's legs. My opponent should be begging me to pass by the time I actually get to the pass. Got Gabe on top here again, and Nas on the bottom. Gabe running the drill, trying to pass the guard. It's a little bit better. Gets a double under. Pulls a little bit up. There was a little bit more back that time. Not bad. And it gets an easy pass here. Now we got the reverse. We got Nas on top trying to pass the guard and Gabe defending. Goes for the big man break. Pretty good. Loses his balance a little bit. I like to see his hands on the inside. There we go. So Gabe giving lots of resistance with the shoulder walk. I told them they were allowed to go 100% once they got him into the lap position. So let's look at that again. Again, the 100% resistance is going to start as soon as Nas gets the double under. So here we see Gabe shoulder walking back because he doesn't want to give him that position. Nas is trying to go for that lap position. Fails, but manages to fold him in half anyway. Let's look at why that lap position failed. Okay, a couple things I'm noticing here. His arms are too high on Gabe's legs, or low relative to how you're looking on it. I would like to see him holding the belt here. That way you really control your opponent's hips. We're not trying to control their legs directly per se. We're trying to access the hips here. That's pretty flat positioning on the lap here. He might be able to pull back a little bit, but really I'd like to concentrate on focusing his grips on the hips. Loses it here, but manages to crawl forward and stack, grabs the opposite shoulder and smears the legs past for a pass. Very good. Alright, we got, looks like Ernest on top here, and it might be Dave on the bottom here. Goes for the standard break, gets it, double unders. Again, if he's trying to pull back on the lap, look how high he is off his heels. Also, feet should be flat on the ground. There we go, he lowers his grip a little bit, gets the fold. So Dave's trying to really shoulder walk back right now. I would argue grips still a little bit high here. If I were him, I would reset the grips to the hip here, get a really nice load onto my lap, and then worry about folding, because that really takes away your opponent's ability to shoulder walk. I think I explained that to them afterwards. Yeah, don't throw. Let's look at that again. Try not to throw the legs past you, because good guys will turtle, right? So again, you want to smear the legs. You just don't want to throw the legs like that. Too much space. Got Gabe on top and Nas on the bottom. Good fold. He's got to get off his feet. There we go. And gets the pass. Gabe on top and Nas on the bottom again. I believe they're sparring now. Good fold. Get off the knees and pass. Pretty good. Let's look at that one again. So Nas is really running back. From here, if it was gone this far, I might switch to a different pass. And again, I'd like to see his grip lower on the hip. Guys, if your opponent's wearing a gi, grab the pants or the belt. I mean, why not? It's a great way to control your opponent's hips in this pass. You might as well. It's not illegal to do it, so grab the gi or the pants, please. We got Dave on top here, and looks like Ernest on the bottom here. Gets the double under. Selling ass again. Look, that position right there is selling ass. His legs should be way further back, generate maximum downward force here. Ernest is on, oh, that might be Gabe. Whoever's on the bottom is uncomfortable right now, but there's not maximum pressure. He should be dying. Gets the cross collar grip. Now he gets his legs back. Should start walking. The right hand should still be up, grabbing the belt. Walking and turning, walking and turning. Okay. Right now he's walking, but he's not really turning. Again, we want to get 90 degrees to our opponent. Here. There we go. In order to do that, cross collar grip helps. And also holding your opponent's belt with your other hand. So if I'm walking to my left, my right hand is holding their belt. That kind of pins them in place. Let's look here. We started on this angle right here. Ernest should stay on that angle while Dave moves around to this corner, right? So let's look at that again. I'm going to leave that line here, boom, as a reference point. Oh, I guess I can't. All right, I can't. Just imagine there's a line right here. So as Dave starts to walk, Ernest should stay on that line, but he doesn't. Look, he moves with him. If your opponent's moving with you, you're not going to get that angle you need. So let's look at that. Here, we started on this angle here. We finished on this angle here. Ideally, Ernest would stay on this angle as you move to this angle here. As you can see in this example, Ernest was able to follow, so we haven't really gained any traction. We got Ernest on the top and Gabe on the bottom here. I believe they are sparring. Oh yeah, these were sparring drills for 2 minutes. So 2 minutes, 100% resistance. Person on top had to pass. Person on bottom was trying to sweep or submit. Oh, okay. Speaking of submission, see a nice triangle here. Just gets his hand inside. He also had an injured hand, so I don't think he could use it completely. You could see the tape on it. When you're going for the double under, make sure your head is high, so you don't get caught in a weird like pentagram or like arm or opponent arm in triangle choke. And make sure you're diving in both arms at the same time. Never one arm at a time. He almost managed to turn that into the pass. I'll go for double unders. Oh, there we go. Gets it. He's got to hold the belt. Oh, he abandoned the double unders. And now he's back in a triangle. Don't know why he abandoned the double unders, but obviously it was not the move to make. He's not in immediate danger. Gabe needs to get that right leg higher on Ernest's shoulder. But still, you're in the triangle. You're not having a good time here. Okay, now he's out of danger. Hopefully he turns this into a pass. He's got to get way lower under. There we go. Good. Again, towards the belt. He's got to grab towards the belt. And he's on his toes, so stop. If you're trying to pull your opponent back onto your lap, do not be on your toes. Flat on your feet, butt on your heels, and pulling back as much as possible. Please. Trying to get the fold. Manages to walk around, but Gabe recovers the guard. Way too much space between him and his opponent. Good attempt, though. All right, we got another sparring match. 2-minute sparring match with, it looks like Dave on top and Nas on the bottom here. Or break and pass, I should say. Knee's not quite in the middle. Might be able to get away with it. Maybe not. Yeah, that left knee's got to be way in the middle if he's going for the standard break. Might be switching to a, yep, switches to a big man break, but he's not controlling the grip. So you must control your opponent's, as they say, grips arms by having your arms in his armpit or using the gi to stuff his armpits. Because right now Nas is just free to attack, and he is. In fact, you look at his left arm and Dave's right leg, he's got that occupied. So please, don't just go for the big man break without controlling your opponent's arms. Either by inverting your grip and having them in the armpit, or pushing on their bicep, or using their gi. So they're not able to grip you freely. He's got the guard open. Nas trying to sweep. Looks like Dave's trying to pass. Nas gets that top knee shield in. Pulls him back to semi-closed guard situation. Might get swept to the right here. He's a little bit heavy. Oh, beautiful pendulum sweep. Looks like, look at that again. From here. Gets under. So he's not even directly controlling Dave's left arm. Dave's just obsessed with holding on to it here. Nas has a grip here, but if Dave wanted to, at any time, he could let go with this. But I think he holds on a little bit too long, and it becomes essentially an indirect control. Yeah, he's holding on to it for dear life, and it costs him with the sweep. All right, we got Dave on top here. Gabe is holding the closed guard. Again, 2 minutes. Person on top trying to pass. Person on bottom trying to sweep or submit. Okay. Anytime your opponent's, if you're going for the standard break, anytime your opponent's hips lift off the mat, it's gone. It's just gone. You're not going to generate enough circumference, for lack of a better word, with your knee and your hip in order to break their closed guard. Don't panic. Reset. Pin their hips back to the mat and just reset. Very, very unlikely you're going to be able to break the guard once your opponent's hips leave the mat. In fact, that's their defense against the standard break, is to lift their hips off the mat so you can't create the leverage to break their guard open. Yep. Look at Gabe's hips way off the mat. I think I tell Dave at one point to get his opponent's hips on the mat. Also, there's different schools of thought. I like my feet flat on the ground here. If you're up on your ankles, generally speaking, your weight is kind of already inclined forward, so your opponent can pull you down pretty easily. In this specific scenario, I would have my feet flat on the ground, and that just allows me to get my knee in the middle a little bit easier too. Yeah, Dave is trying to get the knee in the middle without pinning his opponent's hips down. Looks like he's going for the big man break again, but again, he's not controlling any of the grips. Gabe is free to attack his legs, free to attack his arms. Right now, Dave's arms should be in between Gabe's arm and armpit, denying Gabe's ability to make grips on Dave's body, but he's not doing that. Yeah, he gets the knee in the middle, but he can't really do anything with it. For the record, this right here, grabbing your opponent's gi and having it on the outside, does not count as controlling your opponent's grips. If you can grab the gi and get it on the inside of their armpit and create outward pressure, that's a different story. Gets the knee in the middle. Kinda. His right foot could be a little bit more forward. Yeah, his Gabe's hips land right on top of his knee and he collapses his posture. And again, look, Gabe is free to attack with his arms. No good. You got to freeze your opponent's grips. Oh, there we go. That was a good break. Oh, but he gets caught in a triangle. Again, let's go back a little bit. As soon as your opponent as soon as you break your opponent's guard, your hand should already be on the inside. But look, Dave's lack of control over Gabe's grips comes back to haunt us. Dave has a grip on, confusing names. Gabe has a grip on Dave right now, and even if Dave wants to get back and grab the inside of Gabe's pants or make any other kind of grip, he can't because he's occupied right here, and that allows a long guy like Gabe to get a triangle on Dave. Wow, that's confusing. Just to say D and G from now on. Dave has a knee in the butt right now. That's kind of saving him. If he was a little bit more advanced, he'd probably use that to escape this position, but I don't think he knows how to yet. And Gabe makes a nice angle, keeping him close. Yeah, Dave's pretty much giving him the triangle right now. He should be making space, not collapsing it. Oh, he gets his arm out. Might be able to pass from here. Oh, I think the round ended there. So again, please, if you're going for the big man break, before you stand up, you have to control your opponent's grips. Arms, I should say. And that'll lead to you controlling their grips. Got another 2-minute sparring match here with Gabe on top and Dave on the bottom. Hopefully I'll get the names a little bit better this time. So again, Gabe's trying to pass. He's up a little bit too high. Okay, going for the standard break. He might be able to get it if he pushes down on... Oh, there we go. On Dave's hips. Just because he's a little bit taller. From here, he starts stepping over or going into any kind of guard pass. Not quite sure what that was. He's got his right arm occupied. Gabe's got a kind of a spider guard. Okay, he dives for the double under. Does he have double under or does he have one arm in? I think he's got a double under. No, it looks like he's just got one arm. Okay, right now we're in trouble right here. You can't see it, but Dave on the bottom was holding Gabe's sleeve, so Gabe couldn't get his arm out for the double under. So right now his right arm is in. Right arm is out, left arm is in. That's triangle heaven. So please be careful. Both arm ins or both arms out. Never one or the other. Might be able to turn the angle here. There we go. There we go, control the head and into a good pass. Nice. All right, the reset again. Dave doing a good job climbing up Gabe's body and not letting him get the posture he needs to break. Okay, he might switch to a big man pass from here. Big man break, I mean. I want to see, again, he did the right thing by grabbing the gi, but on the wrong side. Again, if you grab your opponent's gi, you need to be on the inside of their armpit. You might be able to get away with it here. Yeah, right now, Dave doesn't come to jiu-jitsu that often, but even a novice is going to be messing. It's a nightmare to try and pass without the grips. If your opponent's free to attack with their arms from the bottom, yeah, if Dave knew what he was doing, Gabe would have been swept like 20 minutes ago. So please, once again, control your opponent's grips when you're going for the big man break. So we got Nas on the top, and I think it's Gabe on the bottom here. Yep. Okay. Stop. Nas has correct hand posture right now. Sorry, let me draw that circle a little bit better. Correct hand posture right now. Gabe is going to have a real hard time gripping Nas in any meaningful fashion. He could probably grip the outside of Nas's tricep on the sleeve here, but that's not really going to help him. We're free to use our lower body to make that middle knee positioning and then sit back into the big man guard break. So again, very good job by Nas controlling that grip. Let's see if he can get his lower body in position. Oh, kind of lost it. Again, at any point, if you're like 99% of the way into a pass and you lose a significant position, me personally, unless there's like 3 seconds left on the clock, I would reset. I really wouldn't risk it. Oh, there we go. Let's look at that again. Let's look at what happened here. Okay, so we already messed up. Nas is not addressing the grips, right? So he got Nas's left leg is caught by Gabe's right arm. Gabe has a left hand grip on his collar. Nas goes to reach back with his posture broken right now. Tall guy like Gabe is going to snatch that triangle every single time. Boom. They fall and he turns it into an armbar. Yeah. Big mistake on Nas's part, trying to pass the guard with bad posture and bad grips. Got to address those first. They go again. Nas is trying to pass again without establishing good grips. Again, always ask yourself why you're doing something. So he stood up to try and get the big man pass, but he did it without getting the grips. Okay, now he starts to address the biceps. I'd like it a little bit more on the inside. This could be okay. Can't see what the right hand is doing. The left hand is kind of okay. I'd like it a little bit more forceful, for lack of a better word. I'd like it in a better position, like really into the armpits. Okay, and he loses balance, so his posture collapses. Let's look at that again where he lost his balance. So, again, look at Nas's right hand. That's a weak grip. Like you could tell, his fingers aren't even really engaged. You want the palm of your hand on the inside of your opponent's bicep towards the armpit here. You're not gripping the material. You're not gripping the material. You're basically spreading your opponent's arms out like on a 90-degree angle as much as you can. So he gets that knee positioning here, and he just kind of falls. So that is a concern for any guard break where you're on one leg, really, is your opponent has a chance to knock you off balance. So please just be careful of that. So for the final match, we got Gabe on top and Nas on the bottom here. Guards open. Almost got him off balance with the scissor sweep. Gabe does the smart thing and rolls to the other side. Pretty good. I forget what I was telling Gabe here, but they reset. Again, Gabe's a little bit high, like off his butt. I'd like to see him sit back on his heels. Looks like he's going for the standard break. Good, gets it. Okay, he entered in one arm at a time. That's a little bit risky. Should go double unders now. Oh, doesn't need to. And gets the pass. They go again. Oh, okay. Now it's got a good grip on him. Not quite sure what it looks like he's going for a Kimura. Oh, nice. Almost. And he could go for a triangle from here. Oh, there we go. Gabe defends and uses it to pass. Now he's got a pretty good post at the end, but it wasn't enough to save him. It's hard to stop a guard pass with just your arm. All right, we got Chris on top here and Ernest on the bottom here, working the double under. So I'm starting them in the double under position, I believe, for these sets. Yep. Gets the lap, folds him in half. So far, so good. Reaches across for the far shoulder. I'd like to see him off his knees. Oh, there we go. Okay. The way he's walking backwards, I think I'm yelling at him now. So stop. You don't want your, how do I say this? Eventually, you're going to have your chest facing the sky, but you don't want your hips facing the sky. So until you get 90 degrees to your opponent, you want your chest facing the ground and your hips facing the ground. Do not walk leg over leg like he's doing right now. You want to side shuffle, for lack of a better word. Yeah, and look, it's a little bit awkward. He does manage to get the pass, but then Ernest wasn't resisting very hard. So again, stay parallel to the floor until the very end, where you just kind of lift the shoulder and the leg slide past you. Same situation. We got Chris on top and Ernest on the bottom, starting him in the double under. Ernest tries to shoulder walk back. Chris gets the stack. Too much, and he gets Ernest to turtle. If your opponent turtles, all is not lost. It's also not ideal. Good guys will double leg you from there, or be able to recover the guard or something like that. So again, we're trying to avoid our opponent's ability to turtle, just like here. Now we got Ernest on top and Chris on the bottom. Now we got Ernest on top and Chris on the bottom, starting in a double under. Drives forward. That was a weak. Yeah, he's got to lean back a little bit more if you want to lap your opponent. Reaches across for the far collar. I'd like to see his feet a little bit further back to get a little bit more of a sprawling motion. Really load your weight onto your opponent. Yeah, and you see where that right hand is? Exactly. In training, you could be nice to your partner, but when you're sparring with it, you're basically trying to do it like a single arm bread cutter choke with that one arm. So I'd like to see his forearm across Chris's neck right now. And that ending was very good, where the legs just melt by. Very, very good. I think they run it again. Starts with low on the belt. Yeah, I'd like to see him sit back a little bit more when he laps his opponent. And again, he's being nice with the forearm right now. I think I told him as much. Walking, walking, walking. Leg slides by. Yep. And fixed side control. Let's see if they get one more in this round. I think I'm telling him here to sprawl a little bit heavier and also walk. Oh, yeah, and when he laps his opponent, exactly. Feet flat on the ground and really, I don't want to say arch back, but you're really trying to get your opponent's hips off the ground. So he's got to drive forward. That's a little bit better. I'd like to see him use a little bit more momentum. He's just kind of using arm strength right now. Yeah, I really like Ernest's right hand, how it's really controlling Chris's hip right now. Very, very good. Heavy, heavy pressure. Slides by, exactly. Nice and controlled. Starting here in the double under. Chris drives forward. Gets a grip on the belt. Yep, that's a good pull. I mean, granted, he's a lot bigger than Ernest too. So right here, he should be off his feet. There we go. He's gonna walk. I don't like that leg over leg. Look, Chris's hips should be parallel to the mat right now. Where'd my little clicker go? Chris's hips should be parallel to the mat right now. Right now it's up like this, right? No good. I shouldn't say no good, but not ideal. It's a little bit unstable when those legs go by, and part of it has a reason. Part of that reason is because his hips are not parallel to the floor. Starts with the hands on the mat. Go to the double under. Drives forward, pulls him back onto his lap. Again, I'd like to see him sit back a little bit more too. Okay, now let's see if he keeps his hips parallel. That's much better. They're tilting a little bit here. Okay, from here, as you walk to your opponent's side, this arm, let me reset that. This arm, the one that's around, that was initially grabbing his belt, has to move to behind your opponent's tailbone. Either that or use this foot to step in, so the foot would be here, and the knee would be supporting your opponent's tailbone. If you leave your arm there, it's going to make it harder for you to walk in the opposite direction, which we're seeing right now. He's kind of stuck. Yeah, exactly. I tell him to move his hand, and now look, he can continue on, and the legs melt past. Good adjustment by Chris. Got Ernest on top and Chris on the bottom for this one. Starting in the double under. Drives forward. Yep, that was much better on the pull, using that backwards momentum. Good. Yep, there we go. Right here is a good loaded position. This is where you would start your folding mechanics. Yeah, fold him a little bit more. His feet have to be a little bit further out. There we go. That's good pressure. Now he's leaning forward. And the legs slide by. Good. I'd like to see him walk to his left a little bit more. But overall, that was good. Laps him. Good. Sprawls forward. Pretty good pressure. Right hand's got to go behind the tailbone. He's got to start walking left. Good. Like to see him walk a little bit more left. Again, your feet should always be trying to walk to the left, or walk towards your opponent's head. I don't like how he's lifting from me. He's got to walk forward and then lift. Yeah, he's got to walk. Okay, so we saw, let me rewind it a second. So this is one of your defenses that your opponent's going to do. They're literally going to post on you here. Most likely they'll be posting on your hip. The number one defense they're going to do is shoulder walk back, which is what the lapping is for. The post on the hip we're going to deal with next week. Got Chris on top and Ernest on the bottom. Chris with a good drive forward. Kind of let's get away from him though. So right now he has to be in front of his opponent in order to fold him in half. His hands are all wild. Look, his left hand's out of position. His right hand's like based on the ground because he's afraid of getting swept. Ernest has a good grip on his leg. He's got like a no arm triangle right now. That eventually ends up costing him, but that was not a good start by Chris. When you're initiating the double under, you want to be parallel to your opponent. When you finish the double under, you want to be perpendicular to your opponent. So he was driving forward without his hands. Don't drive forward without the hands. You're just trying to battering ram your opponent. Here, he folds Ernest. So this is under full resistance too. There we go. That's a little bit better. Oh no, he's off balance. That was better. At the end there where he got his balance back was much better. Again, keep your balance, guys. Balance over everything. Ernest on top, Chris on bottom, running full resistance, I believe. You have Chris trying to shoulder walk back. Is Chris doing something smart? If you noticed a second ago, he was posting on Ernest's knees here. Another reason to lap your opponent and or get off your knees and sprawl onto your opponent. Ernest doing a good job adjusting. You see him walking backwards to get out of Chris's range. Decides to go for a knee through pass. And gets it. Very good. Good adjustment. Chris doing another good job blocking the knees. Oh, Ernest goes... Okay. Now he's blocking his hip. And Ernest switches directions. Creates a scramble. He could have gotten the double under, but elects to go for a knee through. Forces the headquarters position. Oh, Chris gets the underhook though. Let's see what happens. Okay. Good sweep by Chris. Overall, that was not a bad play for either of those guys. I like to pass from the half guard, ironically. Ernest let Chris get the underhook though. That was a problem. Chris on top, Ernest on the bottom, running at full resistance, just a double under. This is another thing. You rewind it for a second. The reason we need good grips is because a good opponent will simply weave their foot, not even underneath your leg, but over your arms and in between your hip here, and there's no way you're getting a double under from there. And from that point, you have to reset, which Chris does. Runs forward. Ernest trying to shoulder walk back, but Chris gets a good lap, gets a grip on that collar. There we go. Starts. That was almost textbook right there. Now, granted, again, there is a significant weight difference, but that was almost textbook. Let's look at that again. Here, gets a good fold, walks, turns his chest to the sky while keeping his hips parallel, and gets a pass. Good job, Chris. Runs forward, folds Ernest, staying in front of him. Yeah, I don't know what Ernest was going for there, but it didn't quite work out. Oh, maybe it did. He's got some weird kind of white belt toe hold going on. It's not going to work. He actually manages to get to a guard position. Not bad. But again, I would not rely on whatever... I think he was like underhooking the leg. I wouldn't rely on that just yet. Chris got a left underhook here. He could probably kick his left leg up and back. Step around the guard. Oh, Ernest does a good job bringing the hand forward into a framing position. Chris using his right foot to get his left leg free and managed to beat Ernest's post. Very good. Ernest on top, Chris on the bottom, running at full resistance. Oh, okay. That was something interesting. So, Ernest caught on to the habit that, let's see right here. Boom. Ernest caught on to the habit that Chris was posting on Ernest's knee when Ernest was trying to run him forward and or lap him backwards. Watch what Ernest does. He knows where his hands are. Boom. Attacks the grips. Very smart by Ernest. Uses that pass. Very good job. I would have never thought of that. Elects not to go to the double under. I think I forced him to go to a double under, actually. Okay, that was like a speed pass, but that worked. I didn't think he was going to get it, to be honest with you. I thought he was too high on the, low on the hamstring / high on the knees, however you want to look at it. Okay, that's a good fold. Ooh, that was good. As soon as Chris started posting, let's get that again. As soon as Chris started posting, Ernest turned the angle and managed to get the legs by. Risky, but it worked out. Again, you got to choose between speed and control. It's hard to have both, right? Not impossible, but hard to have both. In that case, speed paid off. Ernest trying to force the double under position. Manages to get Chris shoulder walking back. Good timing by Chris. He timed that shoulder walk back. Let's look at that again. He timed that shoulder walk back to throw the legs by. So Chris starts shoulder walking back, throws it by, but Chris doing a good job. Again, that's the disadvantage. If you go for speed, you lose control. So we got past the legs, but Chris was managed to turtle, and I believe he managed to stand up from there.